Hello, and welcome to my channel. I am Damien Marie AtHope. In the simplest terms, I am an atheist-humanist philosopher and prehistorical writer-researcher at DamienMarieAtHope.com. I am specifically an axiological atheist. An axiological atheism can be thought to involve ethical and value theory reasoned and moral argument driven apatheism, ignosticism, atheism, anti-theism, anti-religionism, secularism, and humanism. Axiological atheists can be understood as a value theory or a value science atheist. As an axiological atheism's ethically reasoned and constructive pro-humanity. I am an axiological thinker, value theorist. The science of goodness, worthiness, usefulness, valuableness, virtue, reliableness, accuracy, validity, morality, integrity, beneficialness, etc., etc. We axiologists have a value consciousness. And in general, we see the architecture of humanistic humanitarianism value in people that we see as dignity beings. Places and things are not. Axiology is a value theory. In its broadest sense, it involves areas of philosophy that are deemed to encompass some evaluative or evaluation aspect. Therefore, it crosses almost all domains in some way or another. Now for a more detailed terms as to what I am. I am an axiological atheist, an anti-theist, an anti-religionist, secularist, humanist, rationalist, writer, artist, poet, philosopher, advocate, activist with schooling in psychology, sociology, as well as I am an autodidact, self-taught in science, archaeology, anthropology, and philosophy. I promote science and am against pseudoscience, pseudo-history, pseudo-morality, things that are found in religion. I support realism, axiology, of course, liberty, justice, ethics. I am also an anarchist socialist. I support anarchism and socialism, progressivism, liberalism, philosophy, psychology, archaeology, and anthropology, advocating for sexual, gender, child, secular, LGBTQIA+, race, class rights, and equality. So if you can guess from all that, I support or challenge that I have an eclectic variety of videos on a variety of topics. Please take time to check them out, as well as if you enjoy them, please give them a like. And don't forget to subscribe, as new things are on their way all the time for my channel.
Not much. How about you?
Oh, I've been having a fucking terrible fucking week.
Yeah,
I just say my attitude, not.
Oh, is that right?
well, I mean, it's just I'm not attitude. I've been feeling more oppressed by my mental health issues of being a sociopath. The amount of death and the constant, like. Even like I just watched something yesterday or something, when this doctor went to a parent-teacher conference or something somewhere in the United States, and just told him you should wear masks because the Delta variant is bad.
Right.
People outside were so crazy. They were threatening him. We know where you live. You can't be safe in public. I'm like, so anyways, my point is things like that, all that kind of. It's making it harder for me to feel normal. When I mean normal, I mean not like sociopath.
Right.
For other people that don't understand mental health, I can't not do it. It's like PTSD from my life. I can't not, when too much happens to me where I feel too threatened, or, you know what I'm saying? Like in just negative feelings of death and harm and all this, it starts to make me like, as almost like a protective mechanism or something, a response for my feelings is to then, I don't care. And it's really hard for me. Because I'll feel myself not wanting to give a shit. What's that? What's wrong?
Did I lose you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, because it kind of froze on my end for a while, so I wasn't sure what the heck was going on. But
oh, yeah, your side is it looks like it's having a little bit of issues. Mine's not, though.
Okay. Yeah.
But that sucks.
If we're good now, we're good.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just saying that these feelings I'm feeling, it becomes almost like a depression, like a malaise or whatever I get into, where it's hard. It's hard for me to care. Like, I don't want to even like people's posts, or if they comment to me, I don't even want to respond. Or if I do, I want it to be like toxic, you know. And so I was just thinking about this, that in general, I'm still feeling it, but is that I talk about it as a way for people to realize that other people go through stuff, and I don't buy it as an excuse. Like, I feel like people are like, well, I'm feeling mad. I'm feeling sociopath. So you give me the right to then fucking do whatever I want?
Exactly. Yeah. You don't get to necessarily mistreat people just because of the way you're feeling, right?
You absolutely have no right to mistreat people because
that's right.
you are. So I'm just correcting your language.
Yeah.
You made it sound like it's sometimes okay. No, that's what I'm trying to say is it's even when it's hard, I hold myself accountable, because people always go, oh, Damien, you're so kind. You can't be sociopath. I'm like, no, I feel like you're calling me a liar. B, you're discounting my real struggle with mental health.
Right.
And then C, you're acting like as if it wasn't a big deal. 20 years of fucking counseling, and then me, like right now, what I'm experiencing, trying to not be this monster that I want to, just non-caring, I don't want to be, I don't value that person. And so when I experience that I'm feeling this feeling, I find it the best way to do it is not to hide it, because that's always what shame does, right?
Right.
Hide everything. I find it's better. And also because I want people to hold me accountable, because when they realize that I'm not in the 100% right now, so if I am less caring or whatever, I want to be able to be held accountable. And it doesn't mean like it feels good. Like if you told me, Damien, you're acting sociopath right now or whatever, it's not that I would feel like, yay, I would still feel pissed, but I know in like logically or whatever, this is better for me, because I that's a better person. This goes back, like I said, about my anarchism in general, besides other things that people understand. Like, so I'm a socialist anarchist. Me and Cory are very close on almost everything that we think, probably.
Yeah, pretty close.
We just have a few little things. But I was going to say that in general, that's normal. I mean, anarchism is not like a fucking stamp.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's not a cookie cutter that says, hey, this is the person you're going to be.
If that's it, then maybe I'm in the wrong thing anyways.
Right. Yeah. No, that ain't it.
Because that's not the kind of things I support. And that's why I was saying, like, I don't support, because you have mental illness, that means that you have the right to then hurt others. If I know I'm like this, one thing to do is don't go out.
There you go. Yeah.
Right? Don't have a lot of interactions with people. And if I do, try to keep them minimal and nice.
Yeah.
But it reminds me of, like I said, about why I made, or came up with the concept of the Anarcho-Humanism. It's not like that I feel like that Anarcho-Communism is terrible or anything like this. So people understand, it's not like I'm attacking anything. I'm saying all of us, if we agree in an anarchist persuasion, you can have your things, but I feel like we're missing, like, just like I feel like the feminism or the queer, we're missing the importance of being a good person. This is so important to me, that it's more important than my mental health issues.
Right.
That's how important it is. I'm just trying to bring that up forward. It's so important that I don't even let my myself violate it with impunity. I would hold myself rigidly accountable as possible. And like I said, sometimes it means, and I've done this before, like I've had it happen because sometimes I get like in a fugue state when I'm like this. I'm like not there. I'm like, I don't know how to explain it. Like say I'm feeling 30% sociopath, like constantly, where normally I only feel like 5%, very, very low.
Oh, okay.
But more trauma, then it just becomes, at some point, it's like almost 100%. When it's 100%, I cannot think. I don't know if I need to eat. I don't know if I just feel like just ready to just blow up on anything that touches me, almost, It's really hard, and it happens especially like when people challenge me aggressively. Like what's happened before, like there was an atheist meetup I went to, and someone stood up and started saying stuff to me. I had to say, I need to leave.
Yeah.
So I got up and I walked out. And another time someone said something about and I got angry. And when I feel that way, I know, what the best thing to do is remove me from the situation.
Yeah. That's the healthiest response, actually. Like even like you'll see, I mean, it's pretty common to see people that when they're aggressively attacked, then they'll be like, well, no, I'm going to knock the guy out or whatever. Like it's very common amongst men. And
and that's what I'm trying to say is people need to understand, I'm not some pacifist. I don't even agree with pacifism. I'm into non-aggression, that I don't force the stuff. But believe me, I'll kill someone if I have to, but I don't want to, and I'll kill as less as I try not to, but it's all about caring. So but that's to me is my anarcho-humanism, always caring. Yeah. Unconditional social awareness. No condition. Hitler, no condition. Unconditional social awareness. I am a good person. That is my goal of being an anarcho-humanist. And I think all people can, I feel, connect and relate to this and see the benefit of this thinking. It's simple. Why does Damien not just allow his sociopath to run rampant? Well, because that would definitely be not a good person. Right. So I would be violating the core of what I believe. And I believe because I want a good world. And I know if there's a bunch of good people, man, what a wonderful damn world. And this is what I wanted to talk about too, is that I want to talk about anarchism and socialism, but about belief and disbelief. Now, I know you're an atheist. I want you to explain real quick about your political and your atheism right now. And then I will do it after also, just so people know where we're coming from. And then, because I want to address both. I feel like a lot of times people only address like what they like. So if someone is, so my point is they'll talk about only, the one thing that they support. And I'm just wanting to say that I want to talk about both what I don't support, but not so much in a negative way, at least in this video. I just wanted to explain what or why certain people think certain things about socialism and anarchism, and why there isn't really a universal anything for social or anarchism.
Right. Yeah.
So, but anyways, that's what the topic. But I want you to explain real quick for us, not like super deep, but real quick for us, and not just labels, because probably there could be some people listening to this that have no clue what those labels are. That's why I'll try to explain real quick to what I mean by stuff. Right. So go ahead and tell us your political thing. Also, tell us where you're at so that they understand, because we're also in different countries.
Yeah, that's true. Like I'm in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, which is a fairly small city in Canada, and Canada only has like, I think 33 million people in it, the whole country. So my province is only 1 million people. It's very small. But yeah, my political view is that we should all have our needs met. We should all be free from coercion and exploitation.
Hell
and we should all be able to be free to explore our lives without the fear of starvation or homelessness. So that's my political
it's not
view.
Funny. I mean, I know you're laughing, but I agree that I say I interpret your laugh as how ridiculous that anyone would have a problem with that, right?
Yes, exactly.
Well, I mean, I just want to clarify: you're not laughing at homelessness or the taking care of people is funny. I'm just saying you're laughing that I'm interpreting.
Yes.
and my feelings, that you would be laughing at that because how ridiculous. It reminds me when someone said, well, Damien, why would an atheist be good? And I just said, the fact that you would want an answer to that ridiculous question almost tells me everything I need to know already.
There are certain questions that shouldn't need to be asked, right?
Well, I feel like this, and I'm having a little war on LinkedIn right now because I had said that the Bible God was a genocidal monster.
Oh yeah,
and they seem to not like that. And then they come, and I'm like, oh yeah, so he didn't do that? Oh, he didn't do genocide? Are you supporting genocide? Oh no, but God does it. It's not genocide. Only when man does it.
Well, that's not what that word still means the same thing.
And I go, oh, so you're saying God is outside of ethics. But if you say God is outside of ethics, you cannot then call it a good God, because good is a term of behavior inside an ethical paradigm.
Right. Yeah.
If there's no ethical paradigm, there's no fucking thing that's good. So don't call God good anymore. You just, God is God, is what she said. That's what she said. That's a total, it's called a tautology, and I think philosophy, that when you just kind of say the same thing, like black is black, it's not saying anything.
There's that old question or whatever it was. Is good because God says so, or is good regardless of whether or not God says so?
And that's they don't get how that's an important question.
Yeah.
Because they want to go back to God is God, so he can do genocide, and it's not genocide. But also he can ask for your slavery. You can be a slave, but yet still that's okay, and you're free somehow.
What?
But anyways, so I want to talk though about things. So you're an anarcho-communist.
Yes.
And I would say that it's kind of hard to really explain exactly what I am. A lot of times we'll say anarcho-humanist, but as I've just explained to you, actually that's not what that means. Right. Anarcho-humanist, like say, it's like a cause in anarchism. So, but I say that as just a simple way for people that don't even understand anarchism, socialism, anything, to kind of have a way into the door. Right. This is a good thing, and this has these what they think is crazy ideas, but yet it's a totally good thing, and there's not anything bad they can find about it. So it makes them think different. But really, it's not, like I was saying before, my stuff isn't really against any anarchism. Practically any anarchism could add it to it, and that also. Yeah. But so that goes why I want to explain more like what my anarchism is. So I would say that it's kind of hard because I'm like all over the place in my thinking. I don't really have a specific thing, because some of my stuff could be probably anarcho-communism, and some is collectivism, and some is mutualism, but not that much, because too much of that is about individualism to me, which I totally just do not. I find individualism just is a fallacy. Yeah. For me personally, beyond anything else, it's like it doesn't even. You're not okay. Done. I mean,
yeah.
I don't. Yeah. I mean, but anyways, I know sometimes when I talk about philosophy, I do it different than other philosophers because I don't get into all the bullshit. I understand thinking. I try to precision just to give you here's the choice cut. Here's the filet mignon. You don't know the bullshit. Not that there's the bullshit wouldn't feed you, but here's the filet mignon. Anyways, my point is that, so for me, it's a multi thing. So that's why it's very hard for me to try to say I'm this, because, I mean,
yeah, like I use
but I don't want to make our stuff not about that. Just go real quick. Sorry. But then you wanted to explain stuff.
Yeah, no worries.
Go on. So, anyways, and I also would say that I'm an queer. But it's a cause that I support. Queer. People, and the fact that some anarchists or society do not pay enough attention to queer issues has to be acknowledged. Just like I feel like anarcho-humanism does. Not enough people support being a good person. I don't know why that's a hard thing, but fuck, it seems like it is. And then, well, even like what someone I was saying, I say, and it's right, and they try to argue, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a philosopher. Unless you are or understand, then I don't think you grasp how I talk sometimes. I said attack the problem, not people. And the guy goes, yeah, but people are the problem. I thought, should I tell him that in counseling, if we started with that attitude, we would help no one?
Yeah, exactly.
We'd have to just institutionalize everybody.
Yeah.
Instead, we realize you, the being, are suffering some related thing, but not you. See, the mental illness is not me. I am not personally the sociopath. In a sense, I am a human being that experiences this mental health issue. So, but it's important to understand this.
Yeah.
Are you still there?
Yep.
Okay. It's important to understand this because it's about breaking things down and understand there's levels of things. Too often, I feel like we like to generalize. It's comfortable. Generalization is also easy. That's why I feel it happens all the time. But like I said, I don't like to do that, so I try to make it more clear. So I'm an anarcho-queer, in a sense, anarcho-feminist because I support feminism, and anarcho-humanism because I support being a good person, no matter what the hell you believe. And how you should treat people is always to be, like you said before, no coercion. Of course, anarcho-humanists can't. Are you a humanist? How are you humanists and doing coercion? So I mean, right. My point is, when you hold yourself to it's like accountability, this standard. I am this because it's a standard.
Yeah.
You can't coerce people and say you're this thing. You have violated it. No one has to tell you have just done something wrong. In a sense. I feel, and I feel like it's just a well-being. We should. I mean, I just don't, like you laughed. I don't know why it's hard to be a good person, and that's also why I do feel like I'm not personally, even though I'm an anti-religionist, an anti-theist, and atheist extreme. I'm not anti-people. This goes back to my thing, right? I'm not anti-people.
Right.
I want to help the people. I care about the people, and so and as anarcho-humanist, right? My care is about being a good person. Does it put anarchism above a human being? You've got to be kidding me, in a sense. My attitude I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, in other words, like what I mean by that is, just so we understand, to clarify, because I know sometimes how I talk. I've seen where anarchists have experienced other people in society, and they come at people hostile that are non-anarchists. And I'm always, like I said before, I think, what the fuck, man? Here's your one chance to sell anarchism to the world, and you make it seem like it's kind of toxic. And I don't want that. And I feel like it's unjust, too, because anarchism is not toxic.
Right.
In fact, it's the antidote to toxic. The lack of anarchism is the reason for toxic. It would be a better way to say it.
Yeah. There's certainly toxic elements to anarchist movements, right? Like there's people.
There can be, yes,
because everybody's got things going on, and
there's not one kind of anarchism.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's why I said I think as an overarching thing, it would be good if a lot of people just picked up that we need to be good people, no matter what our things are. Like even I feel like how even socialists interact with other socialists, or whatever, or anarchists interact with other anarchists. I'm saying that in general, I think that we need to exhibit this exemplary behavior that we believe and know that anarchism could produce. And I want to be an example of what that exemplary thinking and behavior can produce. I don't want to be the opposite. It's very easy. Like I said, all I have to do really is do nothing and just start being how I feel right now and stop fucking caring. But I just know that doesn't lead to good things.
Yeah, that's right.
And so that goes back to like how socialism, that people will state that socialism is materialist. The thing about materialism, in a sense, you have to understand is that is a philosophy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
About nature. Now we don't. It's more considered to use what's called scientific realism, which is also in a sense a philosophy, but is more grounded in science. Because its claim is that science, as we understand it, is how we should, in a sense, interpret the world. Not through, because in a sense, a metaphysical person could make an error in what's called naive realism, which naive realism is that whatever you've personally experienced or believe you're experiencing, that this is your world. And so that's where where it's naive in a sense, different than scientific realism. Scientific realism knows that the earth is spinning. You don't feel it. Naive realism would say there's no such thing as a spinning earth.
That's why that's the appeal that flat earthers use, is that, well, I can see it's flat. Like, look at it.
which is called naive realism, which errors. And so that's why it goes back to, so this is where I feel like sometimes like religious people will try to put down materialism. What they're trying to attach is the naive realism thinking into materialism. So materialism could have that in a sense because it's not as, to me, grounded as scientific realism, where it puts more, like my humanism thing, it puts more girds on, nope, there's certain behavior that you can do or not do, but this is what it is. And so that's what mine is too. I say there's good people and bad people. Good people. You know what a good person? Real simple. I always say I love to have simple because then it's easy for people that are not as philosophy minded as me to remember. So a good person, real simple, does no harm and does good. And it does help, right? So it does no harm, it does help. So if you do those two things, that's a good person. Now, there's obviously different levels of good person. Some person could just help somebody opening a door or whatever, help someone cross the street. And there's some people that, help an orphanage. There's definitely, but these both are good. Yeah. And this is also, to me, reminds me of what my behavior should always be. Is it in line with this standard? Yeah.
And I just was thinking, like, it's important to make sure that we're recognizing that the behaviors we are in control of, that's what we, that's where the being good or do no harm is, right? Like we can try to mitigate, like, because as we say, like, there's no ethical consumption under capitalism because everything involves exploitation. It all involves coercion. But there's certain levels of control we have over
for people. Just explain why. But I do want to get back to the religious stuff. But go ahead and explain why.
Oh, I mean, because of
you said there's no ethical consumption
under capitalism. Yeah,
I wasn't disagreeing with you at all.
No, I
was just, since you said it, and before I went on, my wife told me, let Cory talk more.
That's fair. No, I will try to explain it in as simple terms as I can. It's just that under capitalism, everything is based on a profit motive, and that means that there are people who are making money by paying others less than they are worth, or by extracting resources in ways that don't necessarily meet our personal ethical guidelines. And like an example would be lithium extraction in African nations. It's done with the use of underpaid labor in bad working conditions, and these
unethical,
things. Yeah, it's incredibly unethical. But we have phones, and that's where that comes from, right?
I know. So it's not that we should get rid of phones.
Right. We need to
change the labor system. That's right. The problem. So that's why I agree with you. It reminds me of like when people tell me, "Oh, Damien, your things are so extreme," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's so extreme that people should be able to work and eat and live and have a structure and safety." I mean,
it really doesn't seem that radical.
They can't work, that they're protected and not left to be stranded. I mean, I do not feel that shit is extreme at all to me. I mean, seriously, that's why I feel like that there's a problem, because I feel like that I don't even engage on that thought. It's a fallacy, so I'm not going to entertain fallacies.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's because I'm a rationalist. I don't like bullshit arguments. I'm also an axiologist. Things have to weigh out. If you can't put the reason for suspicion of something or the reason for a belief, I don't even regard it as shit. Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just like, how much time have you wasted of your life, anybody, on does the Jolly Green Giant actually the reason that vegetables are fresh? I'm just making a comment. So the Marshmallow Man, how many hours of debate have I wasted on, the freshness of marshmallows being a direct relation to the size and location of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man any time in the earth.
Sure.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, people can come up with nonsense. But so the thing I also wanted to do is that for me, I'm like I said, an anarchist atheist. So I want to talk about anarchism and socialism. I think that both of these things people think are like new things. When to me, the new thing is the capitalism, not is. In fact, in most indigenous cultures, if you read like super, like what they do, and so a lot of the stuff sounds a lot like both socialism or anarchism or both.
Yeah, like it's like the community takes care of the people within the community.
That's not
right?
a crazy thought. That's a new thought. That's like a human thought.
Yeah, it's kind of the whole reason we built societies.
Well, that's the old problem, is that we built things that we call society that I don't think really represent. Because to me, what's society? Is it just a group of people? Is it a group of people with power? I mean,
yeah.
What does it mean? It's society. I mean, do we call gang societies? I mean,
that's fair.
Yeah, or my point is, or terrorist organizations? That just another society? I mean, is it all relative society?
Subcultures and whatnot.
right, yeah. Well, so, what is the most important thing? That, like, for you and me, at least for me, I could talk easily. Good person, and that good people help people. Otherwise, you're not a good person. If you don't ever help person, you're not a good person. To me, that's part of the good. The do no harm is only half of it. Because, I mean, Hitler could go around not doing harm one day, and then that doesn't make him a good person.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't fucking work like that. But so, to me, it's a standard that, like you said about care. So I feel like it's quibbling over, like, it's like saying, I own my own body. I mean, what? Like, I have to tell you that? I choose not to be a slave. That has to be even said? I mean, okay, if someone wants to be, then, please do what you want, but don't make anyone else do that.
Yeah, you can't force your personal preferences onto other people, right?
True, which is why I think that ethically, I wanted to address both belief and disbelief. I don't try to. People think I push atheism. No, I just push reason. I think the conclusion of reason is atheism. Like I don't exactly push or always support.
Yeah.
It's like I said, anarchism and socialism. But then again, I explain every reason why it's the only reasonable thing to me.
Yeah, like what's the difference between pushing and promoting, right? Yeah, I talk about atheism because that's what I believe is the best outcome and the best way to go forward. But
so we're pushing. Very, very good that you. So what is the difference? And that's why I like clarifying things, because so to me, the difference is when I demand it.
Right.
Like if I say you won't let you be my friend if you're not an anarchist or you're not an atheist.
Right.
That is different. I don't do that. In fact, I think half of my followers are religious, and cool. I mean, I'm trying to get to the religious, and so I mean, I don't even see that as a bad thing. I think like, damn, I'm doing good, and shit, I'm getting to the people I need to get to.
And ultimately, like you say, like, if they believe in a religious thing but are being a good person, then there's no quibble, right? There's no debate.
Exactly. Well, and as an anarcho-humanist, what I really care about the most is everyone being a good person, and then becoming good communities. I mean, and then a good world. So it starts from the person, though. So I absolutely agree, and that's why I think it's important. Is my conclusion of atheism is not more important than feeding people.
Right.
It isn't. Yeah. I mean, fuck atheism if that. I mean, I care about people, and I feel like that's just ethically. How can I tell, like, say, a terrorist, or a person who's being bigoted to change your beliefs if you're not even yourself willing to move them around to their appropriate positions?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think appropriate position is my atheism is more important than my care for humanity. I feel like if you do that, that's an error.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right.
So could you tell us, I'm going to start with belief first. Can you tell us any things that are around belief and anarchism that you're aware of? And then I will.
I think, well, one of the things when you told me what we were going to talk about today was, like, the first thing that popped up into my head is like the anarchist slogan, "No gods, no masters."
Mm-hmm.
I know there are religious anarchists, but it is my view that belief in a totalitarian God is incompatible with anarchism.
Right. So the question would be immediately, when you said that clarifier, was okay, if you remove the clarifier, if it wasn't a totalitarian God, then it would be okay or not? I'm asking you.
I suppose it would be, wouldn't it? Because
like
a Spinoza's God of the universe that doesn't control you in any way and just exists.
Right. So like deism or pantheism.
Yeah.
Right. So but let's just say that it's more active than that. But they see it as either non-harmful or as in somewhat libertarian that allows them to do whatever they want, but still is in a sense a God they believe. This the problem is you could place that type of thinking on almost any religion, Christianity, Islam, because all of it, in Buddhism, whatever. I mean, it's all really, in a sense, your interpretation. Everyone goes like, religion is. Well, religion really is up to the individual. Let's be completely fucking honest here.
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone listens to this, I mean, even if you have a religion, is your religion exactly the same as every single person that holds that religious belief? I don't think so.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Every single person that is in your church or whatever, or your synagogue or your temple or whatever, your space of worship, do they all have the same exact as you?
Yeah, not quite.
So I think that it's important to understand too. For me, the first thing that I think of is indigenous people. Okay. Immediately, that's the first thing I think of. The anarchism or socialism and belief is the indigenous, because a lot of them, like I already talked about, already should be able to class themselves as anarchist, socialist, practically, and they believe. So I can't deny that. I would be an intellectual liar.
Yeah, and they do have like you say, like a spiritual type of belief system, right?
And sometimes they have totems and gods, and it could. But once again, sometimes how they interpret, like you were saying about deism, they interpret God in a way that's, in a sense, beneficial. Even like this God protects us. Especially female gods, they are very known to be protectors of areas and things. But there's male gods that do this too, or believe. But like I said, once again, it just doesn't matter, because you could just claim any. Islam is the religion of caring. I'm not saying that there's a lot of evidence for this. I'm not saying that there's not some few things, but I'm just saying that my point is you can just claim it.
Yeah. And
so
the Islam of the imam or the person who believes down the street, say, is different than the Islam of the Taliban, right? Like,
absolutely.
So there's like, it goes back to the same thing as Christianity, where everybody's belief individually is slightly different.
And I think attacks against religion are best served when we remember this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm just saying that no matter how they present religion, never forget it's not a uniform anything. No part of it. That's the thing. It's always like somehow it's atheists against this uniform structure power.
Right.
What the fuck? Are you kidding me? They're as fucking haphazard as can be. Maybe not as haphazard as us, but certainly a hell of a lot more haphazard than they give themselves credit for.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
they're just easier to herd cats.
Yeah. So to me, it just goes to the thing is that I need to care about people that are good people. That's why I said, for me, the Anarcho-Humanism, I go, okay, all right, I have all these views, but like I say, I'm also, feeling sociopath. But so having this thinking doesn't mean how I'm going to behave. Right. So that's why my standard, right? So I think I have all these thinkings of how you should do this, and I don't like capitalist, whatever. I have these thinking, but then how am I going to actually treat humans?
Right.
Yeah. Well, how I'm going to treat humans, I hope, is gracious and caring and kind and understanding and patient and tolerant. I want to be a good person. That hard as shit. And And I'm not saying
There
that
are
I'm
days, yeah.
a master at this shit. But I should want to.
Yeah.
I should want, and that's why I tell people, I would like to be in my life as a goal, a kindness aficionado. Someone who puts this goal, not just as something I do if I can or if it's convenient. Fuck, it's never convenient. Fuck that. People are assholes. It's never convenient.
Yeah.
And or it feels like, I should say.
Yeah,
convenient.
that's right.
Other
Especially
people,
when you're driving. Like, oh my God.
oh no shit. Unsocial sociopath and they're driving. Like, tell everybody. What the fucking monster mind takes over?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get what I'm saying. It being like bigoted and stuff, prejudice is a fallacy of the mind. Because like I said, it goes to the classism stuff. It starts classing stuff. So like I said, I understand that even Marx, I think, talked about being spiritual, but just not about religion. He saw, because if you hear it, how he architectures his terms, in a sense. When you talk about religion is wrong because it does these things, that it sounds like clericalism in a sense.
Right.
Because it supports hierarchy. But see, that's not religion is wrong.
It's hierarchy is wrong. Yeah.
This, which is what I would have said. What do you think about your religion? It's myths.
Yeah, that's right.
What do you think about spirituality? That's another myth from religion. What do you think about a soul? It's another myth from religion. What do you think about God? Another myth from religion. I mean,
I don't really think about souls. I don't really.
What I was saying is like how he worded it. And I'm like, I'm not saying that I agree. It also does that. It absolutely supports hierarchy. In fact, it foundationalizes it as a good thing.
Right.
It's the best thing. God is God. Let God, you be God's slave. And that is the most happy, joyous, wonderful thing in the world. You know? Seriously? What the hell? That's sickening. I don't anything that says that to me is already like, what the fuck?
Not a fan.
Yeah, not a fan of being a slave. So to me, but like I said, we have to understand that not everyone has to take that view of religion.
Right.
Like I've heard some atheists tell me before, no atheist could be an atheist Christian. And I said, well, there's atheist Jews. I don't see why there couldn't be an atheist Christian. It doesn't really matter to me. So that's just like, who gives a shit? Because what they want to say is, I don't believe in gods, but I think that Jesus' philosophy of how we should care for the poor is inherently good and socialist and anarchist. And I'm like, if that's what you get from it, I like the end result.
That's right. That's right. If you want to call yourself an atheist Christian, then go ahead.
Because in the long run, right, what do I really care about as a good person? If this person cares about the core and is fighting with us as anarchists and socialists, why the hell am I going to tell them I have a problem with them calling themselves an atheist Christian? Like,
yeah.
Dude. Yeah. That makes you happy. So
yeah, exactly.
Well, because I think that and I feel like in general, even though we're hostile towards religion, I still feel like how could we really be hostile towards people since we acknowledge that they're the victims of religion?
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's the whole thing is right? The people who are following the religion, they're following like and the religion itself, which has leaders, I guess, like I have a bigger problem with the leaders than I do with the flock per se. Right.
True. And that goes back to like, even like, I don't really like doing debates with them. I don't really like talking to them because I can't talk to them. I only like real conversations. That's it. I don't like bullshit. I don't like, and I'm not, and like, I don't really like debates too, because it's somehow we have to win or lose. I just want to have a good talk. We should be able to have a reasoned conversation. So I already don't like that shit anyways. And anyways, I'd probably interrupt people or cause a problem because I don't like that shit. Better just say, Damien doesn't really do debates. Damien is, you brave? Come in on and have a real conversation with me.
Yeah. I used to really like debates, but I guess, I don't know. I think there's a phase that a person goes through sometimes where they're like, yeah, debates with religious people. Woo. But it gets really old really fast.
Yeah, it does, because to me, it's not as productive as I would like it to be.
Yeah.
Because to me, like when I have real conversations, they don't like that because I usually make people think. I mean, almost anybody that talks to me for half an hour is going to have a thought that they probably didn't have before. And so especially if it's the first time.
Right.
Which these religious people have never met someone that talks or thinks like totally like me, so they're like blown away. What the fuck? Another thing too is really weird too is people judge, because I'm an anarchist and a socialist, I must be somehow, this idiot that doesn't know anything. I'm like, wrong.
Yeah, that's another thing with like, it's similar to atheism in that certain hegemonies exist within society, right? And they're the ones that are considered common sense. So those of us who go against the grain are considered, kind of not knowledgeable, but you got to like actually
if you really
talk to
understood
us.
society, you'd agree. Actually, it's because I truly understand society, which it sickens me to my core.
Yeah, like the reason that I am an anarchist is because I see society in a way that, based on what I've experienced and the evidence that I can accumulate.
Just like it reminds me of when I was in California, they had this thing called general relief, right? Which is supposed to give you some help if you're poor. And they legitimately said that I had no money, no job, and was about to be homeless. Right. And they said, we can't give you this money because they were going to give me like $750 or something. But you qualify, except you need to let your cars be repossessed. So when you have no more ability to get to work to make money, because I worked like 20 miles away, when you have, and it wasn't we're a bus or anything. So if I lost the car, I would have no more work. I wouldn't even be able to pay the money back if I was given it. Right. And I said that to them. I said, it makes no sense. You're going to tell me that you won't, as soon as I lose my cars, which I don't even own them, so I don't understand how that's considered like I'm owning them. But as soon as I lose my cars, then you'll give me money. But at that point, I'm 100% guaranteed I cannot pay you back. That's how most people can. I'm like, kind of a dumb shit.
Then, if you're not worried about getting paid back, then why are you stopping me from getting the money?
Oh no, they do like community service. They have to come and do community service to work it off or whatever. Anyways, my point is that I was just like,
yeah, it's still silly.
Like, you're gonna make me lose my job before you give me money. Like, I need it now, and you even agree that I deserve it. Like, I don't. What the? It's I just found, but it's not even just my experience. I've also been homeless a little bit. It's not my own personal experience. When I stop being selfish and just simply, I'm just serious. For me, it's that simple. I don't know why it's not that simple for other people. I don't know, but for me, when I just stop being selfish and I just look at the world and I think about what would be good, this the fuck is not it.
Right.
I mean, I just don't understand how anyone could look at it and go, yeah, this is great. Let's just fucking continue this shit. I mean, it's just unethical. Especially, it's really odd when people talk about it. See, that's what I think. If everybody, I'd have less problem with religion. It wouldn't be so anti-religionist if religion wasn't so inherently, seemingly toxic to people that use it.
Mm-hmm.
Where, like I said, they'll say that genocide is okay because God did it. I mean,
yeah, I find like, so I've had a discussion with a friend of mine who's, he doesn't think that atheism as a movement should be involved in any other social justice movements. And my point,
go ahead.
My point is always that you cannot separate the current society that and the religion that within it from the injustices that are existing. Like Christianity in the US and Canada is linked with capitalism at this point. Like you have maybe at some point you can separate.
Well, I would say probably since Rome. I would say probably before.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm just making a comment that, I mean, it's not illogical. Anyone can like think about the Bible and Jesus. I mean, Jesus went around basically with poor people and people that didn't have anything, and he said that he even made the comment that it's harder for a rich person to go through an eye of a camel to go through an eye of a needle.
Yeah.
Than for a rich person to go to heaven. So, not a fan. This sounds like a rich person.
Right.
And just think about this. He's only caring about the poor and impoverished, and even tells the one person that wants to be, how can I follow you? Says, sell everything you have. Not just what's extra, right?
So you won't take care of it.
No, sell everything. I know. Yeah, hold on. Sell because that's another fact, but sell everything you have and give it to the poor and then come and follow me. So that's what I think it's the first part. But so the point is, how can you then take that and then this religious philosophy of jets and like, I mean,
yeah, because
they
made it.
you're like, I need another Lamborghini, while your members of your own congregation are freaking starving in the food programs, but you God needs you to have a Lamborghini. I mean,
yeah, because at one point, I mean, maybe my my history is a little bit off, but it seems like, from what I know, the link of, at least in the US, the link of communism and atheism meant that being a communist was anti-Christian, and being
anti-American,
anti-capitalist was, this was all linked together in order to create like an identity, right?
Probably, yeah.
So,
well, for me, it kind of almost is. So I'm like, okay, yeah. Anarchist socialist. Are we still going? It sounds good to me so far.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so when somebody says that atheist movements shouldn't be anti-capitalist or shouldn't be pro other social justice movements, I find that you can't separate non-belief in religion, or Christianity at least, from anti-capitalism.
Here's what I would say as an axiologist. Here's what you logically cannot do. It's kind of in the frame of what you said, but now we're going to talk logic of why.
Right.
But it's a little bit different. So you cannot say that religion is immoral or God is harm, because you're making moral judgments, right? If you're going to make moral judgments, you then can't logically then just limit them to the God. You have to put them on yourself too, right? You have to say, I need to be, or you at least have to admit, I fail. I do not live up to what is a good person. And because that immediately also would say that there's a standard in society. So it's removed from us. That's what you're doing. I mean, see, if you don't do it, once again, see, the problem with it, atheism is not atheism. It's the moment you fucking defend it, you have entered into a belief and disbelief, and guess what? You have a burden of proof, and you need things like justifications for why you have this conclusion. But remember, if the conclusion is universal, which means it's true, right?
Right.
So if morality is universal, we all have to follow it, right? So if we all have to follow it, then the violation of it is the violation of this, in a sense, universal thing we all understand. So you can't claim that, which atheists love, and including ones that don't want to be anti-capitalist or care about social justice, love to make God is evil and vile and oh, really? To what standard? Do you hold yourself to any standard? I don't. Really? How are you then sure that you're qualified to make such ethical judgments against God or anything if you yourself, A, don't really understand morality, or B, have no morals yourself?
As soon as you start listing reasons why God is bad, or belief in God is bad, then you are doing moral judgment.
Right? Once you stepped into the philosophy realm of that, my friend, you are no longer in just the disbelief.
Yeah.
You have now entered something else. And believe me, axiology is right there, because axiology is every time you're making a value judgment, it's a value theory type of thinking. There's also value science, which is formal axiology. I don't do because it involves calculus and math. Anyways, I feel it's too slow. It's not very good it's good if you wanted to like sit down and figure out moral problems, but
if you want to write a proof,
don't have that availability to, can you give me an hour to please, or 15 minutes to do a calculator so I can figure this out,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's not good. It's very, very good. So it's very good to think about things or break stuff down. I like it. It's especially for science and research. It's good. But for every day, I feel like that personally, like it's too complicated. And that's what I was saying too about anarchism, the Anarcho-Humanism, just having an extra thing that we can attach to that's simple to understand. What is the goal? To be a good person and to make a society of good people, and then a community, and then a whole world of good people. And what is good? Oh, do no harm and do help. Anything that violates this is already doing something that should be changed. And Just under that principle, in a sense, like anarchism, right? But it's also like atheism. Atheism, if they want to say it's just a thing, then all it is the denial of claims made by theism. That would be the best way to, because I don't do atheism until you start making up theism. And then once you stake up the marshmallow man is true, then I'm like, I don't believe that shit. So,
but even then, it depends, because sometimes theists will come with claims like race mixing is against God, like, or they'll come with gay people are a sin, you know, stuff like that. So then, as soon as you're
evil,
you're countering those claims, then you're doing social justice.
I totally agree with you. So I agree, they're already doing it, and that's what I'm saying. Trying to limit it when you've already jumped into the thing, is, guess what? To me, it's either just irresponsible, unaware, or it's intellectually dishonest. My wife says it was intellectually dishonest. Well, I'm assuming that's really very often, but since I'm not claiming I know everyone's the same, I would just say you should check yourself, right? You should know what you believe, right? That's not what the atheists, you know, and I'm an atheist. Shouldn't we know what and why we believe something? I don't like to is when atheists will sometimes go, I don't have any beliefs. That claim itself is a belief.
Yeah, like you're defining belief in a very, very rigid way. If you can,
That's like saying I don't breathe air, you know, or something. I mean, it's ludicrous. You just did it, even when you said you didn't.
Exactly. Yeah, it's similar to when scientists are talking shit about philosophy. Well, how did you decide what to study?
Oh, you just brought up. I saw a video that was good, right? And I don't want anyone to say what the exact video was because I'm not trying to shame it. I don't like doing that because I really did like the video, but they said something there several times, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's a logical fallacy." Just stop.
As soon
you
as
say it as if it matters. They're like, "No one has the right to talk about a subject if they're not an expert in that subject," and I'm like, "Well, first off, if we hold
on
you
now.
as a rationalist." If I hold you accountable for that same thing, are you an expert in this area of analyzing social behaviors?
Yeah.
And then classifying other people's psychologies or use of terms? Are you yourself? I have a degree in psychology and I had some sociology too. So I would say more than likely, I'm not even saying I'm qualified, but I would be more qualified than, but really? There's a lot of people in sociology. You talk to them, and they sound like they don't know crap. I've heard some that are smart, so I'm not putting down sociologists. But I'm just making a comment because once again, sociology is a big field. It could be they're on one little strand, one.
Everybody
you know,
feels it's not.
the thought is that every scientist like does every kind of science or something.
Yeah,
it's like ridiculous. They don't realize that in a sense science is set up just like how capitalism would set up everything, and you know where they basically work to make capitalist money. They just do it by science.
That's right. Yeah, the idea that you have to be an expert in order to have an opinion is a very elitist viewpoint. Like it's very like I'm the smartest person, I'm an expert, therefore I'm the only one with an opinion.
But it's actually it's a fallacy anyways because you that's like when someone says like if someone I've had people tell me, Damien, you talk about philosophy all the time, but you have no philosophy. The only one class even close to I took was ethics in counseling or whatever. So that's the closest like kind of a philosophy, but it was crap. So I wouldn't even call it a philosophy course because they basically said we could choose our own morality. I went, oh, what?
Okay.
But that was actually, in a sense, it was actually good because that actually motivated me to look into axiology. Because when they said, it's like the Christians, God can be God, so genocide is okay. I'm like, what? So when they said to us, it really was profound for me because I think about things. When they said, choose your morality, I knew right then, oh, wow, something's wrong. That was the scariest thing I've heard, choose your morality. No, choose your morality. No, let me finish. Choose your morality of what appeals to you. And I went, ooh, damn, what?
Yeah.
That can be seriously scary, because some people, and that's like goes back to like when someone tells me, when I say attack the problem, not people. I mean, if I would like say, let's say we're against each other, and I sit here and I call Cory names the whole time, is that any benefit? I mean, but if I tell Cory, like I do, like my ideas and why they're reasonable, and Cory agrees with them, then I've done more than when I tried to force Cory, or
Yeah, that's right. Or even if we disagree on some things at the end and we end up agreeing on other things, we've made more progress than if we sat there and insulted each other, right?
Totally. And you know what? I don't demand that everything be the same. I mean, even of my mind, I try to be fluid and allow it to be what's reasonable, not what I'm stuck on.
Yeah.
And because I realize sometimes I get a little bit closer vantage point and I can understand things better. It's like when people first, see me, right? They assume just a male, but that's not really true. I'm intersex and I'm genderqueer and I present as male. And so people that don't know what intersex is or whatever, that can cause problems. And it also can change your view of me, right?
Right.
All of a sudden you stop seeing me as a man. Then it starts, whatever. You start, but why? Because it's why that's why I was saying about classism. I realized too, I can see that warping, man, of our whole perception. I'm not a man anymore, so that totally changes your opinion.
Right.
How you should act with me, how you should think. I mean, but I'm just saying. So I realize how I need to see the negative side of it. This could be bad. That if someone tells me, let me think about this. Someone tells me I'm an anarchist, I'm a socialist, I fight for social justice, help the poor, do all this stuff, blah 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 blah. Oh yeah, I also believe in God. I'd be like, whatever. At that point, I'm like, brother, come here.
Especially if they added at the end, right? Like, oh yeah, also I happen to be.
Yeah. You're talking the language that I feel the most connected to, which is being a good person. I just heard a whole bunch of I'm a good person, and that works for me.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's why I think it's important for us not to be bigoted. There's one thing, like I know religion is wrong. I would love everyone to understand that. I work really hard to try to understand it and to explain it as best I can, as many ways as possible, as many reasons of why it's not. But at the end of the day, I have a lot of people that are friends that are religious, and I don't hound them. I don't attack them. I feel that's not a good person.
Yep.
And
so, I mean, my partner is a believer in something very personal, like she doesn't follow strict religion, and so it's hard. Like, what am I going to do? Judge my partner for this?
But that's true. But I think it also should be further. That's what I was saying about humanism. It should be that applied to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
A universal. That's a good morality. I agree for her, but it's actually good for everybody.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's why, to me, I feel like, and I've said this before, and I know you've talked to, I can't remember his name now, but he lives in Indiana, I think.
Oh, Justin,
yeah.
Justin Clark, does a regular segment on my show.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I went and met him. Actually, he met me in Indiana because I went there to do a thing against Pence.
Oh yeah.
Secularism. Saying, hey, I'm sick of this dude, and it was sucked because I got a death threat when I to go there, and I even said religious people can show up because as long as you're against this nonsense of just actively going against humanity in this way, then I'm on your side. But still, I got death threats for doing that, and so no one wanted to come, but I got to meet him, and it was cool. We hung out and talked. I like him.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah. He told me he likes to talk to anarchists. I was like, okay. I like to talk about anarchism.
Yeah. I think currently he considers himself a Marxist-Leninist, but yeah, he does a regular segment on my podcast where we talk about a book that, because he reads a lot, so he reviews a book that he's read, and
Right on.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. I consider him a good friend.
Right on.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I would consider him a friend, but I've only talked to him like 3 times, and I met him once, though.
Well, that's cool.
But yeah, I thought he was cool.
Yeah.
In fact, I wanted to do my history voyagers with him.
Oh yeah.
But he didn't end up wanting to do that. Because I wanted to do is talk about all this awesome archaeology I know and explain why I think what I think and explain all the evidence and stuff, so people can understand.
Right.
And he was wanting to do that with me, but then he was like, I don't know. So
yeah. How long ago was that?
Like 2 years ago or something.
Okay. Yeah. He really left the atheist community a while back, like around that 2 years ago, like really broke off from a lot of that stuff and started getting into left politics. So.
Well, hey. But yeah, so anyways, I wanted to do, because I know he likes history, but because I would like to talk to someone about all the stuff, and one of these, after my book comes out, and if I have time, maybe I'll go back to trying to do something about that. But I like it better when I could talk with someone.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
especially I'm trying to teach, because otherwise sometimes even I don't know if I'm explaining something good enough. So, and especially if you don't agree, great, because then you challenge something, and then I can explain.
Yeah,
if I can. You know what I'm saying? So I find that to be a lot better, really. Even to me, like when I did my videos on trying to teach my type of atheism, I didn't want to talk to another philosopher, because I want to talk to someone that's regular. That was the whole point anyways.
Yeah. Talk to just somebody like some
doesn't even
normal
know
person. Yeah. Doesn't even. Yeah.
That's my point, is I wanted to show also that I could teach what I do in a very simple way that doesn't require you to learn anything. You just have to follow this like a step and understand why you're doing it, so that you choose to do it intentionally. Because if you don't, then it won't work. You gotta have self-control. It's hard. It's like when people will say something and I have to just ask one question and wait. What is a God? And wait and wait and wait and wait. And then they'll say, God is a universal spirit. And then I'll say, okay, what is a spirit? Because what I'm doing is ontology.
Right.
It's ontology. Yeah. What is the thingness of a thing? And you don't assume anything. You don't know anything. So you make them give you everything. And you'll find that alone almost destroys almost any argument, is the ontology. Because people don't know what they're talking about, just barely generalize. And then if you even dig in, it's an empty void in there. But that helps them to see that, hey, their belief is actually not supported.
Right. I find like even I do that with various topics as well. That's another thing I'm doing on my show, is like I'm doing an Ask an Anarchist. And so then people ask me like basic questions about anarchism, and I have to work through that and like give a real answer, so that, to actually, it's important to answering questions is important.
And it's not just important for thinking like in general or for you. It's also important because some people have answers.
Yeah.
That are decent.
Yeah.
And that it would be good if we knew these answers. So I do think that but sometimes we don't have answers, but we understand methodologically how to explain how to get better answers in general. Like thinking.
Yeah.
When you go, if you follow this process of thinking, your answers will end up being better. Because they weren't just chosen randomly. They were demanded a standard. Like I have the 3 things, right? So it's you have in a sense, a first thing that comes is a belief etiquette, like a shield, right? What I mean by that is that you understand you have to check all beliefs, right? They don't just come in.
Right.
I've talked about this before. So then the first thing is that when you accept a belief, you should have, in a sense, a real rational way that you do this. So that's important. Then the next thing is that all beliefs you already believe, or that you just knew, or even had for a long time, need to be open to rechecked. Take them suckers out, look at them again, go look up a site. Is it still as valid as you remember it? Because sometimes we actually forget, and then we fantasize of what we think it was, and then we make this whole thing. And then if you actually look back at the actual facts, we're like, it's just a little bit different.
It's not quite how I remembered it.
Right. Because sometimes because in general, we feel things through our phenomenology. We feel things through experience. We don't just think. We experience and think at the same time, sometimes about and back and forth. But this stuff is happening. It's affecting us. So all of that is going on. We always like to make everything simple and clean and whatever. It's just not. That's like when people say, I am being rational, not emotional. Well, actually, emotions are occurring the entire time you're awake. What you don't realize is that's how you feel the world. As in a sense, is kind of emotionally. And so people...
you cannot separate rationality from emotion. It's just not a thing you can actually do.
What you need to have is emotional intelligence.
Yes.
Where you're me, I was talking about where you can have a sociopath feelings, but that doesn't mean anything of how I behave or talk to Cory. Or I try, well, I say not anything, but I try to make sure there's less chance of affecting. How's that better way of saying it? But it goes back to the people say you don't have free will, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a person who really isn't, to me, understanding. So they'll say science has proved we don't have free will, and I go, if you're a careful scientific person, do you make global claims?
Right. Yeah.
How about even better than that? If you have a global claim, how much evidence does an extraordinary claim require?
Right.
Extraordinary evidence, right? So what I hear is the supposed evidence is a 70% time. Well, I don't know. That doesn't sound like 100 to me. So we're already having an issue, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it's not 100. So it's not 100 out of 100. Now that would be way more impressive, but still 100 out of 100 off of someone guessing a non-emotional, non-ethical, non-connected, like not your loved ones, a 1 or a 2 or a color,
right?
One black or white, and only getting it 70% of the time is not earth-shattering to me. I don't know if it's earth-shattering to you, but you show me someone picking moral judgments correctly 70% of the time of what I'm going to choose, then I'll go, holy shit. But don't make moral claims if you haven't even have evidence that supports a moral issue. Choosing black or white, I'm sorry. Did you not realize that's not a moral concern? There's no... Now, how about this? If it's a button, black or white button, now you give me, if you want to make it this simple, but say that goes to one kills a whole society and one doesn't, and that scientist can pick it every time. How about this? You do realize we're not in a binary world, right? And making a general scientific claim off a small binary thing seems weird. Have you tried this to both men and women? Was this done to people that were gendered? How about this? Is there any difference with someone who's mentally disabled to someone who's a genius? Any difference? Right. I want to know that you have just made the most global fucking claim, and yet you have the most minute, worthless, like almost creationist level of support for your supposed claim.
Yeah.
I find it to be, and I hear philosophers like, well, yeah, I guess, we have to rethink. I'm like, what the fuck? Dude, I just feel like going, can I put my hand up and say, is the class fucking insane? I'm saying, are you a philosopher? Did you require that your beliefs were general like this? Seriously. I've never heard a philosopher explain things that didn't have and.
Exactly. Yeah.
Surplus suit, but dude, line 5, A section, but yet you accept wholeheartedly this universal claim that we have no moral agency because somebody could pick 70% of the time a black or a white or a one. Are you fucking kidding me?
I mean, for the question of free will, I think it's a super complicated thing, right? Like,
but I'm just making a comment.
But yeah,
well, because I feel like it's also related to our whole biological and stuff. That's right. I feel like we have. I told you, free-ish, because also
free-ish.
Well, it's not even. Here's what I said before. There's no such thing as constant.
Right.
Right now, Damien does not feel as free-ish as normal. Damien feels more dangerous, that Damien shouldn't really get into aggressive things because it could be bad for other people and end up for me.
Yeah.
In jail or something, you know. I'm just saying. So I'm not free as you in a sense or someone else. So I don't. And when we're angry or emotional or tired or hungry, that's why I said
free-ish.
Yeah. Well, to me, without even knowing science, I don't even need. I was in psychology, dude. I already get it. There's no such thing as this free will, but here's the problem: motivations are not the thing.
Right. Yeah.
This is an error people make.
Yeah.
I have sociopathic motivations, but I'm trying not to. But am I exhibiting sociopathic behavior? I'm just, so I feel like that. It's the details you're missing. It reminds me, my brother says, we can't prove that we can't prove reality is real because of skepticism, the hard solipsism. And I said, is hard solipsism a thing? Is it? Is it proven? Science has proven hard solipsism? Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Well, we can't prove it's wrong. Oh, that's a different issue.
Oh. Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
Oh, fuck, that's a different issue. I'm a rationalist. I don't know. Here's another thing I feel like that, once again, globalizing, is every offer of why reality couldn't be real equal? Does it have all the most epistemic weight? And I mean by like knowledge or reason or justification weight. Every claim. Equal? So if someone says Matrix, Demon, Ghost, that Cory actually is a hologram, of Damien's mind or whatever.
These are all equal claims somehow, right?
People, Axiology would immediately go, "There's no such thing as that." And also, that's a black and white fallacy. Of course, it's not.
Right.
And we know it's not. Now, it's not that things can't be black and white. That would be another fallacy to believe that.
Right. Yeah.
No, it's that most things are not. It's not that some things can't be, but a lot of things are not. That we generalize and say they are. Like I was saying, we make a claim that, it appears that you can pick numbers. And then someone makes this ridiculous fallacy that means morality. No, it doesn't. Dude, we already know that there's different systems, right? We know some operate almost automatic, like picking things or getting hungry. You don't have to think about getting hungry. You get hungry automatically. But that's not the same as morality.
Yeah, you've got your fast and your slow thinking, right?
So if you test my automatic system and then find that you can guess the automatic, does that really mean you know my moral system?
No.
I just find that without even, I just feel like, are these people even like thinking of the layers of what they're talking about? And they're like, are you a compatibilist? And I'm like, dude, no one's ever freaking showed me that I even have to give a shit about that, the whole thought that we don't have free will. So until you could do that, I'm not impressed.
Yeah, it's like my other friend who he studied philosophy. He's got his a degree in philosophy. He says, like, what do you mean by free will? Do you mean I had no outside influences and no, no internal biases and all nothing?
Oh yeah, if you mean that, I agree. There's no such thing as that. But
if that's what you mean, then that's nonsense.
Yeah, I agree with that. Would be nonsense. Of course, what I say is that we have to remember motivations are not the thing.
Yeah.
Cory cannot deny he has motivations of A, B, B. Like I was telling you that one time, I said I'd like to have sex with all kinds of women. I'd love to be able to just go out in the street, right? Do whatever I want. But we can't do that. And so we have to mitigate our behavior. I mean, seriously. And I'm not saying that's special. There's a lot of people that would love to not just do that, but whatever they want, right? And if we had no ethics, right? We just do whatever you want to whoever you wanted, and you would have no consequence. I mean, that's what people like live in their mind, but that's not any kind of a reality. That's why I feel like atheism sometimes. They want to somehow remove it from the human mind, make it the separate philosophical issue that has nothing to do with humans,
right,
or how they behave in the world. Because I feel it's odd. If you agree atheism is true, then what does that mean? For me, it would mean that there isn't any being or God to harm us or protect us. But that would mean we're alone and have to do stuff ourselves. How can that not immediately then lead to, well, then we need to care about each other because we're all we fucking have? I mean, that's why you said like social justice. I don't understand how is that even hard? It seems like sort of a natural progression to me. Okay, then we damn need each other. Well, we better work together or we're going to freaking have problems.
Yeah.
I don't even. That's also why I like I said, I don't have as many problems if someone is religious and a good person. I have more problems if someone's a bad person, regardless if they're an atheist, regardless if they call themselves an anarchist. I had an anarchist friend who said he wanted to do all kinds of hurt people. I'm like, you need to understand violence is necessary. And I'm like, yeah, I don't understand.
Self-defense is often necessary.
Yeah, that's understandable. Absolutely. Self-defense and other defense. That's where I absolutely don't even have to think about. I totally support that.
Yeah.
Violence, even murder, whatever, multiple murder. If it's for self-defense and other defense, it is reasonable, it is measured, and it is not just, punitive like aggression.
Yeah.
Where you just wanted to in other words, what I mean by that is, like, say if you totally, don't have to kill her. Everyone's safe and everyone is, removed from the threat, and the threat is in a sense neutralized to whatever. And then you decide, I'm just going to kill it or whatever.
Right.
I think that you've done something wrong.
Yeah, that's right. If the threat is nobody is currently being hurt or about to be hurt, and you still kill the person or thing.
So this comes back to the thought that for me, that like some people believe anarchism or socialism totally should support violence. And I think the problem is that I'm not saying revolution may not be necessary or may not happen as just a result of the people fucking cannot stand it anymore. That's not the same thing as I support violence.
Right.
I certainly support people's free rights, and I want people to fight back. So I'm not, but in reason.
It's like, okay, like to put it in kind of a context, like you can look at the French Revolution and you can say, okay, initially they started guillotining people that were, ruling over them, taking from them, exploiting them, whatever, causing harm. But then once their people were in charge, they just kept cutting people's heads off. Exactly. Well, at some point you cross the line from doing something justified to doing something that was just murder. Right.
Well, and that's why I think it's important. I feel to have a standard, and that's why I said I'm a anarcho-humanist, man. I no matter what, it's people, are important, and being good is important.
Yeah.
And me being kind, like people are like, "I'll give you kind. The world's terrible." I go, sounds like I need kindness more than ever, not less.
Yeah. The world is terrible because we're not being kind enough.
Yeah. And like you said before, I do want to make this point too. I never, in a sense, dumbed down my atheism, my socialism, my anarchism to somehow, I don't know, accommodate anybody. I'm actually against that. Fuck all that bullshit. That's not what I mean by kind. I'm an anti-accommodationalist. Fuck you. You need to hear about anarchism and socialism and atheism.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, you need to hear because it's needed in the world. I feel like I possibly how out I am, man. In some of the areas I go, I could end up being killed. And you know what? I'd still be okay with that. Not because I want to die, not because I'm not scared of harm or whatever. It is this important that if I die, it's still this important.
Yep.
And I feel like when people say, "Oh, people will die," yeah, they're already dying. Children are dying in the streets. People are starving. I don't understand why me talking about it or making people uncomfortable about it is, that my threat somehow is more important than they're dying now. So, I mean,
yeah, exactly.
I don't know why you're so worried about my threat. There's people already dying. I'm actually probably not going to die unless someone flat out just kills me, So, but yet they're worried that, don't do anything dangerous. I'm like, yeah, my whole life is dangerous. So, yeah. Like Plus, I feel like another thing. Shouldn't you be like happy that people like Cory and me are doing stuff? Aren't we fucking heroes in a sense? We are putting our lives on the line and still being good people. You know,
Trying our best out here.
I feel like how come that isn't how you focus? Like,
Right.
wow.
Yeah,
Cory's
it's always
really doing amazing stuff. The world is damn dangerous, and the world, you know, it would be easier just to try to exploit or whatever, or stay quiet. It's dangerous to speak out, but it's necessary. And what a hero you are for doing that.
well.
Wow,
I know that like I consider, I don't really think of myself as a hero for sure.
Well,
I think
then
of
stop. What's a hero?
Well, exactly.
I see heroes every single day.
Yeah.
They are
Yeah.
good people that are thoughtful, that are kind. There's heroes every day. The fact that some people only have heroes as war heroes.
Well, yeah.
Don't we say war heroes? Meaning, there's other heroes.
I guess I have heroes, so I always just, you know.
What's a hero to you then? Maybe I don't understand what you think of heroes.
Well, I think there are people who are doing way more with way less. Like I have a lot of privileges and I do what I can when I can, but also I'm very comfortable, and sometimes I don't do the best that I can do. So
Cory, you are no good, because if you can't be perfect, Cory, you're no good. And you need to understand this, because I don't want you to ever have the gumption of trying to be good, because then you'll actually hate the system you're in.
yeah.
And you'll know how important you actually are. And then you'll be like, my rights matter. And why am I being violated? And I'm supposed to be quiet.
Yeah. Jesus.
Or how am I supposed to be? I feel like too, it's selfishness. How can I be quiet when there's other people dying? What does that say about me?
Yeah.
And you speak out. So what does it say about speaking out? Did you feel that? That's what? Afraid? So you're demonstrating, and look, you're willing.
It's just necessary.
So you're a hero because you see it's necessary. The same way I do. I said I feel like this is the worst thing I could do for my writing career.
Right. Yeah.
But we're in the middle of the world burning. I feel like personally, me not speaking out, I could no longer call myself a good person. For me personally. So
yeah. I mean, like, I guess I talked to somebody the other day and they were like, I was telling them that I work in the oil field, but I'm an outspoken like anarchist and environmentalist. And they're like, well, that's pretty brave. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, hopefully my boss just never looks up my name and sees any of my stuff, because I could theoretically lose my job.
If you heard about you, I had this friend named Cory. It's really cool. And he's doing all kinds of anarchist stuff. He talks to all kinds of people. The dude is like constantly kind and thoughtful. He's a great example of a human being. And then you go, and this Cory would go, that dude's not a hero.
He's just a regular dude.
I mean, what standard are you needing for fucking hero? I hope it's not what capitalists think.
I don't know.
Because what they call heroes and all that, I'm sometimes going, yeah, that's okay.
I suppose it's probably just an internalized thing where I'm uncomfortable with
it. Right,
feeling
you're uncomfortable because the master has put it in your mind that you can never own your own value. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
you own your own value. How about this, Cory? Cory is valuable. Right? So it's not only that you have the right to it, it's not like you have this diminished value, this little tiny Cory, doesn't really matter, isn't really important. Really? How important do you have to be, Cory, for you to finally be important? I mean, is that what matters? I don't give a fuck about that. In fact, if I stay at the same level I'm at now and never get any more famous, whatever, because that's not why I do what the fuck I do.
Yeah.
Right? You're a man of honor. I don't know how that isn't a hero.
Yeah, it's the traits that I try to portray or try to have are traits that in other people I consider heroes.
Right? So it's almost like you're doing an injustice to yourself by doing this. But like I said, to me, it's like it's the master talking out of your mouth, man.
Yeah.
Talking in your mind. You are no good. Because
That's
the only thing that's good is what is in capitalist power. That's what's good.
That's one of the things that I try to remind other people to do too, is be kind to yourself, right? Like you have to be kind and accept.
So you say it. Cory is a hero. I want to hear you say it. Without laughing. Just
that's
seriously.
So uncomfortable.
Say, I'm a man of honor and I am a hero.
I am a man of honor.
You are.
And
say it. I am a hero. Without laughing. Seriously. Try because you deserve it, dude. I'm not trying to waste time.
Right.
It's important. Everyone is bought into this bullshit that we're not good enough for fucking what? Capitalism?
Yeah.
Oh, Damien is not going to be good enough for capitalism. So I told me, Damien, you got to take away your beard. Quit talking about crazy shit. Just focus on your stuff. It's amazing. I'm like, no. Fuck you.
Definitely keep the beard though. That's badass.
Well, thank you. Thank you. See, and isn't it easy to give a compliment? Don't you deserve them just as easy? I mean, here's the whole thing. The only reason it shouldn't, that you should have reprobation, that maybe I am in error and you are not a good person, Cory, that you have somehow made your life to where you're a Jeffrey Epstein and I don't know. If you feel like that, fuck you. You're not a good person.
Well, I'm not.
If you're hiding and
there.
you're a monster, fuck you. And I hope to be off the show soon. but no, I mean, I know that's not the case. Or I believe it's not the case. It doesn't. That would be insane. But I'm just saying, you have a right to the value that you have. And you need to stop looking at the value through the lens of the world. Capitalists don't value. The fuck do we care what they value?
Right.
I fucking don't give a shit what capitalists like. That's why I said I laugh when the guy goes, Damien, you got to do this or you're not going to make money. I'm like, yeah, you do know I'm an anti-capitalist. I don't know if you know this, but threatening me with not making millions
right
is not a threat.
Yeah. Well, that makes me think of the conversation I had with that guy on Reddit where he's insulting what I do for a living. Like, your idea of success does not equate what I think of myself. Like,
dude, you're a success right now. And if you
Yeah.
stop doing what you're doing right now, you are a success. Dude, you have achieved becoming a good person who's an honorable person, honorable man. Dude, what the fuck? That's fucking awesome. Well, fuck. You need to somehow do more. I'm not saying don't do more. I'm just making a comment. You've already done it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've already done it. I feel like you should own the value. Why are you lowering the value of yourself? Especially assessing it with the value structure of capitalism or the society, which you know is uber everything that's capitalism.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't know that because they go, oh, what's good? I'm like, yeah, you guys don't really know what's good.
Right. Yeah.
Very obvious.
Like, even just the other day, having a conversation with a guy, like a normie, a regular person.
Right.
And he's talking about like, oh, well, the culture sure has changed. And now, like when we worked at A&W, the whole crew would go out watch a movie together and all this. And then he starts, going on to like, well, people are so lazy now. They just want to take the government handouts. And I'm like, oh, geez. Okay. Well, I mean, we were good when we were nostalgic, and now you're blaming this on the workers of society. And
well, because it's easy. I don't know why. Let's just say this: that if it is valid to judge the workers, tell me why it's not valid to judge the managers, the owners, and the uber capitalists, billionaires. Yeah. If it's once again about morality, you cannot judge one thing and then somehow limit it. If workers are a problem, then you need to also look, is that the only problem? Are you sure? And then like the workers' salaries. Oh, if you really look at manager salaries, they're a lot. How about the executives? Their salaries, holy fuck. And then the billionaires. Come on. What the fuck?
Yeah. That's
So,
right.
I mean, when you say, like, where's the problem? If you looked at the whole thing honestly, suppose of capitalism, look at it honestly, right? All the different values. Could you still say that the issue is that we pay the lowest person too much? Fucking please, man.
No. Yeah.
And I think that in general, that when people say like what society should be, I do think that like when they talk about minimum wage, I've never when they've said 15, I always thought 25. It seems like minimum.
Yeah.
And then now that's actually probably needs to be 35 because I think that was like 10 years ago or 5 years ago. I don't remember, it was 8 years ago, whatever. Whenever they started talking about that 15, I never accepted it. I was like, that sounds okay, but fuck no, it should be higher.
Yeah.
That's not enough to fucking live on. That's not okay. I don't. Nope. Yeah. I feel, and I think it goes back to the same thing, like you said about value for yourself, which I told you. I see this anti-classism thing in general. Plus, I'm an axiologist. Everything's value to me. I'm like seeing value fucking everywhere.
Right.
Which is important because guess what? Value is fucking everywhere. So don't realize it, man. You're like fucking up all over the place, making bad choices or unethical ones because you think, oh, there's no value there. Oh, there really was. Moral weight, which has a value. Or like, your social presence has a value, how people perceive you. So if you, like that's so rising when people say, well, why would you be moral? Well, let's see. Why would you tell the truth? Let's just start there.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't tell the truth, people start to perceive you as a liar, meaning that you have a common thing of not telling the truth. When you do this, people stop listening to you. Generally, if they absolutely know you're a liar, because it's not worth wasting, or they won't value, once again, what you say. They'll listen and it will be valued low, or nothing.
Yeah.
So it's not like everything that's offered is all equal. The fact that people take everything so globally is just error massively. Everything is so layered, and they all have, like spider webs attached to all kinds of other things, and those things have other things, and those things have other things. But people just like to think of one thing, like a binary.
Right.
What the hell? Like they go, well, what's your morality? I go, well, actually, I use a system, moral fear and moral love. Moral fear is the fight or flight response connected, and moral love is connected to what's called the tend and befriend response. Yeah. So when they go, oh, you're atheist, you can't be grounded in anything. I'm like, I don't know about that.
I'm definitely grounded in some things.
Maybe you haven't read some of my theories about how things are.
Right.
Because I definitely do not just stick with what other people have come up with. And I also don't agree with some of the things they say. Like I said about what's reality or whatever. There's so many reasons why and I also tell them too, it doesn't even matter. Let's assume that like a skeptic, which I'm not, position like my brother, his is his position. He says it all the time. He's a skeptic. And so in the way that I don't like also, by the way. So not my brother, well, I'm just saying that his type of skepticism is the exact thing I do not like.
Right.
Okay. Because to me, it's this kind of like, it does two things. A, it tries to make no claims, accepts almost no truth, but then makes shitloads of claims. Like we'll say, just like it reminds me of people. It's a tautology, or it's they don't realize one thing was required to make the other thing true, and if you invalidate the thing that you said, then the other thing cannot be true. They'll say science has proved that reality doesn't exist, and I said, you mean science that's in the reality that you just said isn't real?
How's that real then? Yeah.
How is that becoming proof if you just said that it's inside the unreal reality unless you explain it more? And once they do, then you actually come back to, well, it's not really unreal. Oh, see, well, then it was a semantics word game. And you're just, in a sense, it's a misunderstanding or it's a way people explain things. It's so it's very important to make sure you get the fine tune of what exactly. It's like the fine print, What am I signing? You don't sign just any freaking thing. Very, very bad for you.
Yeah.
But we also do that all the time. We do sign things all the time. Look at all, go online, to be on Facebook, to be on whatever. You gotta, gotta sign all kinds of your rights away. So it's not like it doesn't happen in life in general, and same with thinking. It's all of it is going on. It's like we're like picking things out of like the soup of ideas that are in our head, and also to me, it has to do with like I said before, our other factors. So I would never believe in a free, in a sense, will of our motivations. That's just, I know that every human starts with all these biases. And also we have like these preset phenomenological ways of viewing the world.
Yeah.
In other words, once you're traumatized, say right now, Cory's never been traumatized. I'm not saying, I'm just making a hypothetical.
Right.
So Cory has never been traumatized, but I take Cory for a week. We rape him, we beat him, starve him, make him covered in his own shit and piss, keep him in a box, make him feel terrified. We let Cory out. Cory will never the fuck be this Cory again.
Right. Yeah.
Never. So this is what I know about it's not free will, because right there would prove that you don't have free will.
Right.
You couldn't stay normal Cory anymore.
Right. Exactly.
You'd never be the same Cory again. So it to me, and because some people could break completely and just never come back, totally psychologically gone. Some people could come back, but then violent. Some people, all kinds of, but it's you're not going to come back as the never had been this happened,
Right. Yeah.
So I'm just saying. So I would never buy that there's this somehow totally free will, because that means then you see the world through this schema.
Right.
You can't get outside of this. You can try to with counseling and talking and different thinking, but it's still the world in your head. I mean, so what I mean is you're not obviously assessing the world cleanly as before that's happened.
Yeah.
In a sense, this now has filtered into all of your experience, and that's that people don't realize. They say, "Oh, capitalism doesn't hurt." Dude, it's like the rape thing. It's so ingrained in all of your experience. Dude, you're so hurt by it, you don't even, it becomes what's normal. But that was a self-strategy of survival.
That's like the thing, I guess, with free will, one of the interesting things to me about it is this concept of personal responsibility. And like, so where we draw those lines seems oftentimes to be quite arbitrary, right? Like,
which is why I try to make them less arbitrary.
Right.
I try to make them clean as possible.
Yeah, like you say, the person who say the person before the trauma, then they get traumatized, and then they act in violent ways, right? So then is that because they personally are responsible for being violent, or is there a reason for that? And how do we address the reason for that, right?
Which is why I say, and I've told you I think before, I don't believe in prisons.
Right.
And, I don't believe in the whole system of punitive justice in general. The whole thing I don't agree with.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that I'm disagreeing that some people have to be removed from society and held in a protective way.
Right.
That doesn't mean I agree with prisons.
Yeah. Yeah, they should.
I think that all things should be a mental health issue, meaning that our goal should be to help the person that's coming into there from whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then also we should be learning to then help society, to in a sense. And to me, what we should be doing, like someone said before, oh, well, if we identify that what people like say I'm a sociopath, then Damien will get treated different, maybe not get allowed to have jobs or something. It's not impossible. But then I would also say, in some jobs, Damien shouldn't do.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I should not be in a high aggressive job, because
Right.
my chance to be extra violent would be almost 100%, or certainly be, I don't know, 50%. It would be high. I
Right.
guarantee it would not be. I would not be healthy for me. I'm just. well, it would end up in, if less were wanting violence. Now, if the Ultimate Fighter, maybe now my physical body can't do that now, but I mean, before that would, then yeah,
Right.
that's the whole goal. But if the goal is to be like caring and nice and not act in extremely violent ways, then so that's why I do think that there has to be a responsibility in society, right? Shouldn't there?
Yeah.
Do all the people that could be victimized because of Damien's being put in the wrong job, should they have the obligation of this danger? It's just
right.
And that goes back to why I don't believe in individualism. I believe in collectivism. We have to think about everybody else.
Yeah.
We can't just, and so that's what goes back. What should we have as standards? Well, to me, I told you, the first standard is that I own myself, and the second one is that everybody else does. And so that means I have no right to do anything. I don't even have no right sexually to my wife. I mean, my opinion. Don't own her.
No, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So, I was just saying, so it's not like it's mine. It's nothing mine. It's yours. We're together. It's different.
Yeah, I think that our society is so focused on the individual, and so we tend to ignore that collectivist type of idea, that idea that we are all in this together, and that even in that collectivist opinion, like viewpoint, we are all individuals who are in charge of ourselves, right?
That's what
like
their thing that I always try to say too, is that never forget there's no such thing as a group. There is no such thing as a group experience. This is also fallacy. There really isn't.
Right.
Individual. Every experience is individual. Just like, let's just say you and me both. I'm especially, and this is putting it right now. Right now, I'm feeling less. After you talked to you, actually, I'm feeling a lot better. Less social.
Good.
So thank you. But once again, because I feel like you're laughing and stuff, so I'm in a more healthy environment. Talking to a healthy person, I'm feeling better.
Good.
Where I was hearing all the stuff, and it's like,
it can be very oppressive to listen to what's going on in the world.
I'm feeling ill, crying and just feeling ill and angry and disconnected, and people would message me and be like, because normally I want to like all this stuff I told you, but I'm feeling like now, even when they do it to mine, I'm like,
another goddamn notification.
I'm like, oh hi, what the fuck? Fuck off. And then I'll get to it tomorrow. It's just I've been saying it, and it's not because I'm just like
yeah.
But I'm saying, so I feel like that's why we do need to know who's dangerous to society. I do not think that. How the fuck is that a bad thing?
Yeah.
But I do feel that we also should be caring. That doesn't mean you should persecute me,
right?
or what, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I feel like that we should be caring, and I feel like that we don't do the right thing. We have a school, we teach, all these things, but we don't teach like how to have good social etiquette. Even
no,
we tell them that they'll get punished if they don't, of course, in class.
Right.
Well, but that's not really teaching them. You just taught them what not to do for that thing. It's like when you teach someone to make a test, or you teach them to think. Totally different.
Yeah, that's that punitive idea that it's permeated throughout our education and throughout our society, right? Like everything that you do, you're worried about getting in shit for, or you're worried about getting in trouble. You're not doing it because, well, not you personally, but like people are doing it because they don't want to get in trouble. Not because it's the right thing to do.
Good job, right? A good job, right? Should allow, this is crazy, their employees to do whatever the fuck they want in their private time. Oh, how crazy.
Woo! Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, within reason, of course. I mean, now if you're fucking killing babies and shit, fuck you.
Yeah.
On that. But what I'm saying, but my mind is like, say like you said in Anarchist, you shouldn't lose your job because of that. What the fuck? Like, first off, which is so crazy. To me, like a lot of rightists, they hate when government does it, but they don't give a shit when corporations do it.
Right.
That's why I understand how they are okay with the anarcho-capitalism. How do you psychologically put that together? I just don't see it.
Yeah, it doesn't. It literally does not make sense. Like you can't have freedom everywhere and then no freedom at work, and a coercive system like where Without work,
and then
you
call
die.
it good, or call it okay, or call it the best, or whatever the hell you want. I mean, or not say it should be gone. I mean, but it's the same thing. How are you challenging the morality of God as an atheist, but then not the morality of yourself, or not the morality of society? How can you be so good at judging morality, but yet so blind to putting that judgment anywhere else but one thing?
Yeah.
But you're certainly not doing so and feeling like you're justified. Which is crazy, because to me, they'll say, this is what's weird, right? Just like my brother, he'll say he's, I'm a skeptic and I'm reasonable and the only position and we can't know things. And I'm thinking, you're making some claims that if I want to be a good rationalist, I would go, okay, I want you to prove every single one of those claims.
Yeah.
So, and he can't. And then he would say, well, I can't. And you know that. And I would say, but I don't talk like you. And also, here's the thing you need to realize, that you are talking about an epistemic uneasiness, not even uncertainty, because you don't really think that reality is not real. You're just saying you have an uneasiness that you cannot demonstrate outside of your own mind with confidence. But once again, confidence has very little to do with real good thinking. Because like, say you could be somewhat confident and yet know nothing, or but somewhat doubtful and actually know everything. So it's called psychological certainty. But who gives a fuck? Philosophy doesn't even care, neither does science, about what you feel.
Right.
I feel like it's true. Do you have any evidence for that? Because that's called epistemic certainty. That's why I can't get my brother to understand, because he wants to stick with it. He's a skeptic and he already knows it, or whatever. Doesn't have to listen to me about how I think. And I'm explaining to you why your thinking is limited is what I'm trying to do. And explain to me that your terms, when you say you don't know, that is an error. You do know. You just have an epistemic uncertainty, or some sort of a thing that you feel like you philosophically cannot do. But that's not the same as feeling an apprehension or doubt of the world.
Right.
I mean, it's not. But once again, I feel like it's global. You're just, that's why it's not that I'm saying skepticism is bad. It's just that how they're doing it, and I don't want to be connected to that kind of a mindless. Well, another thing too is, if you're going to say, once again, about being rational and universal when you make claims, if you're going to say, I don't know if reality is real, you then better not be making strong scientific claims that science is real. Yeah, you can. I mean,
you can have. It is fair to say, I don't know if reality is real.
No, but you're saying it wrong. Once again, you're talking about a skeptic. I, for all I can express, all I can experience, know that reality is real. What I cannot do is somehow remove my own self to view if myself is viewing it correctly.
Yeah.
That has to do with an architecture of ability that actually a skeptic has made, because there's no requirement. Skeptics not get we're not walking around with a requirement to doubt if there's a matrix. There is no requirement for this.
Right.
Everything that's presented to us, we go through our entire life, never have that opinion, we're just fine. Long as we represent the world as it represents.
Yeah.
Even sometimes in a naive realism way, you almost can get by. But when you say you don't, so that naive realism is the belief in reality. The doubt of reality is ludicrous in anyone's behavior. I just one person say is that solves this. I go, oh, really? So then you must not care to eat, or whatever. Because I mean,
because nothing's real, right?
Or you say, oh, well, no, it's my interpretation. Okay, once again, then you're just saying you have this philosophic uncertainty, not an experiential one.
That's like, it makes me think of...
So I always tell people, are you saying that science is below philosophy? Because it sounds like that's what you're saying. How can it be anything else? You're saying science is not true.
Right.
You doubt science because philosophy says that there's this possibility, though there's no evidence for it. There's no reason to think it's possible. There's no actual people that even can make matrices now. There's no people that can put brains into that now.
Exactly.
But we're going to assume that this future that's not here in a world that we can't even understand is somehow is possible right now when there's no reason for
and we're living in it.
You see, when I explain it as like an axiology, I see the layers of things. I can go more than that. There's tons of other stuff. Why is there so many variation? Makes no fucking sense at all. Why how about this? Everything because they go, well, we have all these experiences they want to study. Okay, let's just say they're studying all this. Why do they have to show us there's other planets? Other they could just make it what the world the Christians used to believe or whatever. The religious view was that there was just what you could see. And they just everything was like this little globe, in a sense.
Yeah.
And that was it. So all these other billions of galaxies and stars and really? Why? That seems like unnecessary flourish if it's a matrix. Why say 300 types of cancer? Seriously? Why? Why in this world, if it's this matrix, and you want to say how Damien racks, why so many types of child illness? Where children die as babies. Is that really necessary? How about so much abuse, sexual abuse? All of it needs to be there. How about torture? Really? War, capitalism? Somebody invented a world and put that shit in? What, to see if it could fucking eat itself?
Yeah, like if you wanted to run a simulation and appease everybody or whatever the reasoning is that you're doing this, like there's no reason that this has to be the state that it is in, right? Like
that's what I'm trying to say is that, and why are you accepting that this is a valid claim?
Yeah.
To me, what I hear is an invalid claim with no support of any kind. Like when you say, well, what if you're controlled by a demon? Dude, show me something that is a demon, period, before we even talk about if it can control people. Because even if you can show a demon, you still haven't proved it can control people. I'm saying every claim has all these little layers to it that have to be supported to it to be true.
Even if we are in a matrix, we still have to live our day-to-day lives as though they are real and what we are dealing with is in front of us.
That is an axiological statement, because what you're saying is the architecture axiologically is that you have to have value always, because if you don't value and there's no value, then nothing has happened.
Right.
But if you don't value and there is value, you have been unethical.
Right.
But that's an axiological. I'm just making a comment. That's an axiological ethic. Seriously, dude. That's how you break it down, because you're saying the why. This is why.
Yeah.
Which also I would call it justification. And it's why axiology almost demands justification. It's why I said I do a justificationism. And R. Ross said, well, someone, philosopher said justificationism is invalid. First off, whenever philosophers talk, they sometimes like justification. I'm not saying anything to R. Ross, but when someone says justification, it's a guarantee that there's at least two people that do not agree.
Right. Yeah.
And hold that position, just so you know, a little bit different. So first off, I'm just saying in general, everybody get this. When someone says a thing, especially philosophy, there's never this universal never.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Get that. So anyone who's talking as if there's some kind of a universal everyone, then you already know you're talking to someone who's wrong.
Yeah.
That it's you're being so, and I talk about defend. How do I defend against a fallacy? It's wrong to begin with. I don't even have to. Like with this one guy I talked to, and I had to tell him I just got to go. I didn't even want to keep talking to me. Not really. And it wasn't because I like hated him. It was because I realized he's not grasping philosophy or thinking enough to understand that his thinking is so wrong that it's self-defeating. It's self-contradictory. And so, but Also, it's for us ethically to know when people can't do things, right? I don't. That's all it's about accepting other people that could have beliefs in anarchism or socialism. Are we really going to make sure that no indigenous people can be socialists or anarchists? I mean, are they going to do the same behaviors and we're just going to deny that they're doing it? I mean,
right.
Because of what? A bigotry? And do we think that makes us good people? I mean, is that, and I always think too, okay, you like what I feel like I like. Do you think that in the future it will equal something good? Or are you just expecting that it's going to be Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome and whoever has the biggest gun is going to live? I mean, I don't want to live in that.
Yeah, me either. I want to work towards a society that isn't based on exploitation and murder. So
why don't you tell us real quick, now we've talked a lot. Tell us real quick, what would you say is how you would approach someone who is religious and is an atheist or a socialist? How would you or advise other people to, or do you not have an opinion on it?
I don't know. Be kind.
Well, then I agree. That's to me a great answer. I mean, we should be kind. That's why I say to be a good person. I think that we need to, like I always tell people when they say like, you know, how we should label people or like man, woman, or whatever, and intersex person or whatever. I always think that, well, to me, what we all are is dignity beings, and I don't limit that as humans.
Yeah,
because that would be, to me, once again, an unethical evaluation, which I don't like because they're wrong. You can, if they're not universal, they're not true. So then don't make them, because if you can't say, well, it's all true, but this, and they're like, and then it's not justified. Yeah, that's a fallacy to do that. And so I don't try to do that. And so to me, that what that means is how you approach things has to have standards. That's why I'm a methodological thinker. That everything, in a sense, because then it's accurate and same. It's the same again. Well, that's why science is so great. It's because it demands you do step, step. Yeah. So when you do that and you start demanding yourself, but I think in a sense as a humanist, I do this. I demand that above all things, I put people. And I put people as dignity beings also. So that because of that, it also means I need to care about animals immediately, just by osmosis, that everything that to me that feels, then it becomes this, like you said, I don't understand how an atheist is in the world thinking they're not somehow in the world. You're not by yourself. Everything you think and do affects everyone. They know this about religion. They have no problem seeing it about religion. I mean, they're just being in denial, I guess, or something.
Yeah.
Because it's very obvious, and it should be. If it's that obvious and you're that good at it, right? Axiologically, if you're that good at seeing all the layers, then don't tell me you can't see them in your life.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. If you see them when, because atheists do often see the privileges that Christians get. The ostracization of atheists and non-believers. You know, they see all this stuff. And then when they say, oh, but white privilege doesn't exist. Oh, patriarchy is not real. What? How did you do? How did you do it with religion?
Or the same big deal. I read more is that they try to make the argument, well, that's just how society is, so just do it. Really?
Well, I guess we'll just apply that same criteria to religion, and we'll just say, oh, that's just how society is. And
right. Well, and you can say the opposite, that society seems to be changing, so we can demand you no longer have religion. How's that?
Yeah.
I mean, does that sound good to you? It doesn't sound good to me, but I mean, if that's what you want. But I understood that why it's something you see. It doesn't really matter the religion.
Right.
Almost any religion that becomes the power, you know, the hierarchical top of a given area, like or state or country or whatever, it almost starts dominating. This is true with Buddhism even. Buddhism and Miramar and stuff. That one guy, he made a commercial that showed a Buddha drinking. They put him in jail for 2 years. I mean, what the fuck? You know, he's trying to make his bar, but they're like that. You know, you're making Buddha like he's unethical, and you know, and so.
Well, even like, I don't know the exact. I don't know all the details of it, but there was a time not that long ago when like Buddhists were murdering Muslims in a specific
absolutely,
area.
yes. There was terrorists.
know?
Oh yes, in Myanmar. Yeah.
So
But
like,
they have the power.
yeah, like,
And that's what I'm saying is that, and when Hindus have the power, they do Hindu nationalism. And when Christians have the power, they do Christian nationalism. And when the Islamists do that, they start doing their Islamist
you get
nationalism.
Saudi Arabia.
But that's also one thing I feel personally, especially since I studied all the world religions. And I don't just mean the current ones. I mean like throughout all time.
Right.
As best as I could. I mean, you could spend your whole lifetime doing everything, and I absolutely don't want to do that.
Right.
But I mean, in a light way, the whole thing from millions of years ago till now, or to 4,000 is generally somewhere close to that. 5,000, 4,000 is where I stopped. Just because that's when people had writing and we kind of know what happened. I wanted to figure out what the hell happened before what we know. Right. And then is it at first? I've also people understand. It's not like at first I had this idea preset of what it was. I mean, seriously, I was an ex-Christian that almost knew shit about religion. I didn't really know about Islam or Judaism, let alone hardly knew about Christianity.
Right.
So it's like people like, oh, that's what you think, Damien, that all this stuff happened and, shamanism. Dude, I didn't even know what shamanism was. Totemism, I couldn't explain it. I mean, now I can, but I mean, I couldn't explain it then. I didn't know.
Right.
So I did not, the reason, this is I know this religious people don't understand this. This is real crazy. I started with belief, almost thinking that maybe there was goddesses and that spirituality was a real thing, and wasn't sure if there was ghosts. And now I've ended my book learning all the stuff that I had. Religion is a whole lot of horseshit. There's no such thing as spirits or ghosts or any bullshit. But I'm just making a comment that as I started, I didn't know. Right. And I was open. And what I didn't like was the atheists I felt were trying to tell me that this was the truth. And I wanted to know, and how do you know that? Mm-hmm. Gods aren't real. Okay. And how do we know that?
How do you know that? Yeah.
Religion has always been toxic. How long has religion been around? And is that statement true? Right. Is it really been toxic? I didn't want to believe. In other words, what I mean is, when I realized Christianity was false, I realized I've been lied to my whole life, including by society. My next thought wasn't, I need to believe some next people that tell me things. I know that sounds crazy to other atheists, maybe, but for me as a rationalist, my first thought was not, you've been lied to, trust everyone else. I mean,
the next group of people will be telling the truth for sure.
So I didn't know. I wasn't saying that I knew atheists were lying or something. I didn't know what they were telling was true, or that their reasoning was correct. Because I know a lot of people will do things, but it sounds more like a put down, like, ha ha, Cory's a worker. Isn't that funny? But is it? But great, Cory's a worker. What
is that actually an insult?
But I'm saying is so sometimes that they've learned stuff that like ends up being nothing. Yeah, they thought this all, like when people tell me all the time, Damien, you know what? God is real because energy doesn't die. And I'm going, what's energy? Because as far as I know about energy is a mindless, willless thing. So if you mean that a mindless, willless thing doesn't die, I don't even understand. Okay.
Is it alive then?
And your point is magic is real? See, they don't get that's a logical fallacy. You cannot go from this to then magic is real. So they don't understand this, and they go, oh, well, it takes a lot of quantum physics. I go, So in quantum physics, we figured out that magic is real?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, they have quantum weirdness, and quantum weirdness proves that magic is real? Well, no, but we don't understand it. Okay, so we don't claim to know things we absolutely don't understand, right?
Yeah.
But that would not be rational, would it?
Right.
And certainly, I don't really understand when the skeptic would say it. I mean, I'm a rationalist. It sounds crazy as shit. If I thought skeptics don't believe things generally as a standard, sort of. So I mean, believing wacky things, because I was
based on
Well, as I was saying, the reason I bring this point about is because I was at a long time ago. When I first heard skeptic, I did not know that there was people that thought of it in a way that I don't like. But I go to this skeptics group, right? It says skeptics, not atheists. And then we're in there, and it was not too bad. Like I was like, yeah, it's not too bad. I like this. It's okay. And they're like, oh yeah, next week we're gonna have a person come in and show us about ghosts and ghost hunting. And I'm like, are they debunking it? They're like, no, they're just showing us why they think it's true. And I'm like, really? I go, okay. Next week after them, can I come and present why it's bullshit? And the guy goes, oh no, that would be antagonistic. Okay, wait a minute. So it's supporting a believer, but not another person that's doubting something?
What is happening here?
I'm like, if that's what skepticism means, that you don't have the standard of you apply to everything, then this is not for me.
Yeah, no.
It's not for me. I'm a rationalist. I don't even know what you're talking about. Just like to me, does it sound like someone believes something when they say, I know, I can't prove that Socialism is wrong? That sounds like they believe something more than skeptic of something.
Yeah.
What they should say is, I have uncertainty. I am uncomfortable. I am not feeling confident.
I'm not sure. That's a fair statement. I'm not sure.
Right? That's epistemically more accurate and honest in a sense. But it's hard. We do need to fine tune what we say and think about, because really it matters what we think about, and especially when we're trying to help other people grasp why they are right or wrong, which I love doing. That's all. I also don't like when people are like, "Oh, Damien, you can't tell people how to think." I go, I don't tell people how to think. I present good thinking. They can choose to do what they like.
Yeah.
But I am the fuck not going to present the good shit. I'm going to give them good thinking, and then they can then work through that. And a lot of people, aren't used to, I guess, doing that. Or they feel like I'm mean. I've had some people that were accommodationalists, and they just really did not like me. They felt that I attack people, and I ask really hard questions. I make people feel uncomfortable. I'm sorry, this world wasn't comfortable anyways.
Yeah, like it's a funny dynamic, actually. Like, people who will call, like, they'll go online and they'll say somebody's being stupid, or they'll insult people for believing something, but then they'll call you to extreme when you're asking questions that are hard. It's a really weird dynamic there. Or
like, instead of answering my argument or anything, she says I'm a provocateur. Like, once again, it's a logical fallacy. You're doing attack to the person. You're trying to say that I am the issue. Dude, I said that God is an immoral monster for doing genocidal flood. And that a response from I don't like how my humans are behaving to I murder all the humans, there's no ethic or justice in that. And I don't care how many times you look at it, position it, that shit ain't never going to happen to make Damien go, oh, axiologically, I can totally see how that's moral. There's no, and an extra no. Genocide should be an easy. This just shows that, to me, the pseudo morality of religion, man, how toxic it can be.
Yeah.
Seriously, genocide. You can't assess if that makes something good or bad if they do genocide.
I think we established genocide is bad, right? Like, this is something that we've established in multiple ways.
But it just shows that they willingly feel they have to defend. That's another thing that's really sick about, like, religions. Let's just say you personally believe in Jesus. I'd have less threat in that than a sense that you feel you're a Christian, sort of like in a movement or a religion, because that attaches all these I have to.
Mm-hmm.
Because before that, you can then move all over the place in a sense in the belief, which they do. There's people that can be all kinds of, because they're Christian atheists to me.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. But so there's also total fanatic believer that every single word is straight out of God's mouth or whatever.
Right,
Which I told you, I think it's funny because they'll go, well, yeah, but I don't really do the Old Testament. Oh, the different God? Because as far as my God is Jesus. Are you saying Jesus is not the original Father God? Because isn't that what you guys say? It's the same thing. How can he not then? So Jesus did do the flood, right? Jesus did.
Right.
You're not saying Jesus is different than God. Unless you are. Is Jesus not God? Because then that will solve the whole problem.
Well, he's the son, but he's God, but he's...
Right, but he's not responsible. So Okay, so God is not responsible for the genocide, and Jesus is not responsible, even though he also is God, is not responsible for anything God did.
Yeah.
So God is not responsible for anything he did. Jesus is not responsible for anything God did. Even better, Jesus not responsible for anything Jesus did. Because Jesus was also a monster too.
Yeah.
Jesus, right, when it came to the Canaanite woman, whose supposed child, which was a girl child, so this young girl supposedly had demons, which we would probably call today probably mental health issues.
Yeah.
But more than likely, something like that. Or maybe abuse. Maybe she's getting raped or abused. I mean, it's fucking back in, and people do that shit today.
Yeah.
So my point is, so you have Jesus, and you have this woman, and Jesus says, or people in the Bible, or at least Christians will say that Jesus could heal anyone he wanted to. So here's Jesus presented with this child hurting. And what does Jesus do? Nope, sorry. I've only come from the children of Israel. That's it. Right? That's what he tells her. What the fuck? How is that not immediately go, doesn't that sound racist? Like, or at least bigoted of some kind? Ethnocentric? Something?
Yeah, that's right.
Certainly I wouldn't go, oh my God, what a perfect person.
So holy.
The best, most holy thing that you should do as a healthcare provider when a child is in need is say, I'm sorry, you're the wrong race or ethnicity or religion or whatever, right? Do we call that a good person? I certainly fucking wouldn't. And then not only that, so then the Christians love it. Oh yeah, Damien, but you forget the rest of the story was beautiful because Jesus finally went ahead and healed the little girl. I go, did he do it because it was ethical? Well, you have to understand the story. Did he do it because we should help children? No, he did it because the mother had faith. He said, I will do it because you show faith. So he didn't do it because children should be healed. That would be a good person. He didn't do it because we shouldn't put barriers like, I'm sorry, you're religious and an anarchist. I don't like you. Or you're religious and socialist. I don't like you. That's stupid bullcrap. You're a socialist, you're an anarchist. I like you. Unless you're going to hurt people. But then that's about being a good person.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that the point is that do we want to be like Jesus? My point would be if it has to do with that story, absolutely not.
Right.
I would hope that if I could heal a child, I would always, regardless of anyone's faith. And the fact that you only would heal someone because of faith is, to me, disgusting. Seriously, it's ethically a violation, and it's vile. If you told me you did this, I would no longer want to be your friend. It would freak it out. That's it. That you've done something, I just find, because then you know what you've just showed me is your character.
Yeah,
that was one behavior that I know has to have a dog shit of a character, some kind of a scum inside that, man, I need to get away from, because this person is not a person of honor.
Yeah, that's right.
And yeah, I just like I said, so that once again we agreed, right? So that's what I should care about. That's what all of us anarchists should care about. You're an anarchist. Are you a person of honor? Not do you have a God or not?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's an important thing down the line sometime, but it's certainly not a do or die, break or deal or break or whatever. If you are supporting people, that is the that's why I tell people my people are the kind people. I don't go, oh, you're a believer or not, or you're an anarchist or a social capitalist. I just go, oh, do you believe in helping people? Yeah, that's my kind of person.
Yeah. Are you doing good in the world? Are you trying to do good in the world?
I mean, I think we should try to do good, of course, and do, like I said, because I feel like it's responsible.
Yeah.
We're here. And I also feel like some people like me, I see the world better. I see the things people, then I have a responsibility to speak out.
Mm-hmm.
Because to not do it, to me, would be unethical. Here I have the answers and I don't speak out. Here I could help people, or I could explain something and I don't help. That would not be good. And so I feel like, like they say, well, who's given, a lot has a lot of responsibilities. Well, I've been given the ability to see a lot of stuff. And so I have a responsibility to be a good person. And I feel like the same thing. You obviously know that socialism and anarchism are important. You obviously know that fighting for social justice is important. And that makes you a good person to me.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, like Jesus, would it have been social justice to help the child regardless? What if the mom said, you know what, Jesus, I have no faith at all, but my kid is hurting. Can you try?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would Jesus still have helped? Would it really have mattered? And is it an issue of the help or him? Is he a good person? The fact that he would even question helping a child immediately, like I said, I'm sorry, you just failed, dude.
Yeah.
Off the field. No, what the heck? Dude, it's over.
Yeah.
Cut.
I'm afraid it's time for me to go.
That's good. We can cut it. I appreciated your time. I think that's important that we talked about this.
Yeah, it was a good chat. I think we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, try to. Go ahead and plug all your stuff so people can know where to get you and check
Sure,
you out.
it's The Mind of a Skeptical Leftist on YouTube, anchor.fm/skeptical leftist. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it is at Skeptical Lefty, or Instagram is at Anarchy in the SK. So that's that.
And Cory is a man of honor, person of value, right? And a hero.
Thank you very much, Damien.
Right on. Well, go ahead and end it, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Hello, and welcome to my channel. I am Damien Marie AtHope. In the simplest terms, I am an atheist-humanist philosopher and prehistorical writer-researcher at DamienMarieAtHope.com. I am specifically an axiological atheist. An axiological atheism can be thought to involve ethical and value theory reasoned and moral argument driven apatheism, Ignosticism, atheism, anti-theism, anti-religionism, secularism, and humanism. Axiological atheist can be understood as a value theory or a value science atheist. As an axiological atheism's ethically reasoned and constructive pro-humanity. I am an axiological thinker, value theorist. The science of goodness, worthiness, usefulness, valuableness, virtue, reliableness, accuracy, validity, morality, integrity, beneficialness, etc., etc. We axiologists have a value consciousness. And in general, we see the architecture of humanistic humanitarianism value in people that we see as dignity beings. Places and things are not. Axiology is a value theory. In its broadest sense, it involves areas of philosophy that are deemed to encompass some evaluative or evaluation aspect. Therefore, it crosses almost all domains in some way or another. Now for a more detailed terms as to what I am. I am an axiological atheist, an anti-theist, an anti-religionist, secularist, humanist, rationalist, writer, artist, poet, philosopher, advocate, activist with schooling in psychology, sociology, as well as I am an autodidact, self-taught in science, archaeology, anthropology, and philosophy. I promote science and am against pseudoscience, pseudo-history, pseudo-morality, things that are found in religion. I support realism, axiology, of course, liberty, justice, ethics. I am also an anarchist socialist. I support anarchism and socialism, progressivism, liberalism, philosophy, psychology, archaeology, and anthropology, advocating for sexual, gender, child, secular, LGBTQIA+, race, class rights, and equality. So if you can guess from all that, I support or challenge that I have an eclectic variety of videos on a variety of topics. Please take time to check them out, as well as if you enjoy them, please give them a like. And don't forget to subscribe, as new things are on their way all the time for my channel.